Hi guys! Okay, so today's video is kind of going to be something that you guys have been asking me about, and that is our breastfeeding journey. If you guys follow social media like our family Instagram page, it is now renamed because we started a family channel, if you didn't know that. Our family page is the Scaletti family now, and it's linked down below if you guys want to go check it out and follow us on Instagram. That would be awesome. And you can go follow our new channel, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But so if you've been following all of that, what I've been trying to say is you would have known that I've been having a pretty interesting breastfeeding journey. It has been very, very difficult, and lots of tears, lots of discovering things about breastfeeding, especially since this is our first baby, and just learning all of the stuff that you learn with your first. And I thought, what better time to sit down and talk about this than when I am actually feeding baby. This is baby Willow. If you don't know her, she is she's going to be 11 weeks tomorrow, so she's kind of getting to that point where she's not a newborn anymore. She's actually a baby, not a little tiny infant. So I guess I'll start from the very beginning of the story and then just kind of lead on to that. If you guys would like to go follow our family channel, we're doing family vlogs now. I just started, and it just has to do with me and Shane and baby Willow and our two dogs, and that's the Scaletti family. It's linked down below, so you guys can go check those out. But let's get into story time of our breastfeeding journey and why I am not breastfeeding. Okay, so if you have watched my pregnancy vlog, you would have known that I had an emergency C-section. If you didn't, new to you. So we had Willow through emergency C-section because I was not able to, after 12 hours of labor and 3 hours of pushing, to get her out. So when we went in for surgery, she was born through C-section, and we found out that my pelvis bone is too small. It's not narrow. It's too narrow. It's not wide enough, and it goes to the side. So she was facing up, sunny side up, so it was really difficult for me to actually have her. And come to find out, I can't physically have kids because of the way that my bones are shaped. So C-section is the only way that I can, which is good to know now because I will now be having C-sections. What I didn't know is what a C-section can do to you. So if you are pregnant and thinking, oh, I don't have to have a C-section, that's totally viable. Like, I did not do any research on what a C-section can do to you, hormonally, mentally, physically, all of that type of stuff. So I learned a lot of stuff going through my whole procedure. So even if you're planning on a natural birth like I was planning no epidural, no C-section, trying to do it the natural way, things can change. So what I found out is because what your body goes through hormonally with a natural birth, when you do a C-section, it doesn't get those hormones. So when you have a C-section, it can kind of alter the way that your milk comes in. So when you first have your baby, you have colostrum, which you should know, and then your milk comes in a few days later. Colostrum is really important. In the beginning, I was barely getting any colostrum, and they put me on the pump to see exactly, like the hospital breast pump, to see how much colostrum I was actually getting. And I mean, sometimes you wouldn't even get anything. Like, I wouldn't even have like a shine. It would just be like nothing. And my milk finally came in, I would say about day 6, day 7, and it came in very, very lightly. So Willow was breastfeeding during this time. We noticed that because she wasn't getting a lot in the hospital, we supplemented, and the way that we did this was with it was a tiny syringe, and the syringe had a tiny little tube that would flow down to your nipple. So the baby would be like, the baby is on your nipple and drinking, and then you insert like the little tiny straw. It's like a tube, I would say, not a straw, and it goes into their mouth. So they're still breastfeeding and getting your milk or colostrum in the beginning, but they're also getting a supplemented formula. So we were having to do that because she just was barely even getting colostrum. And when my milk did come in, it just wasn't enough. She wasn't gaining a lot. So she was born at 7.8 pounds, and at the hospital she went down to 6 pounds 11 ounces. So not a ton, not in a scary amount of weight loss or anything, but we did notice that it just, you know, was kind of dropping and not building back up, because I was in the hospital for 4 days. So after that, I'm just gonna burp this little thing for a second. You got a good burp for mommy? Here we go. So on day 7, we noticed that she was getting some milk, and I was just breastfeeding. I wasn't supplementing any. And she would be hungry, I mean 24/7. I had her basically attached to my chest for the longest time. And she was pretty like fussy and whiny, and I mean I would nurse her pretty much around the clock, all through the night, all through the day. She was feeding for about an hour to 2 hours at a time. The entire session took that long. And you know, I was going on groups, and some moms said that they would just, you know, this is pretty normal. There's cluster feeding in the beginning. There's very long times of like long periods of feeding, stuff like that, and they feed quite often in the beginning because their tummies are so tiny and they really don't have a lot of, you know, a lot of space in their bellies. So I was learning about all these different things, and at about 2 weeks I was really concerned because Willow's weight was not climbing, and we went to my pediatrician and he said that it was time to start looking at some serious supplementing because she was just not gaining weight at all. And at this time she should have been at least back up to her birth weight, and she was still down pretty low. I think she was about 6 pounds 9 ounces. So I was just kind of freaking out, and I went to go see a lactation consultant. So I was so happy that we made this choice to go see one, because I went in, I was really upset. I couldn't figure out like what was going on, why she wasn't eating enough, why I didn't have enough milk coming in, why the milk that I did have coming in was just so little. I mean, when you saw, like when I would hand express, I was getting like a few tiny drops. Like it was very, very low amount of milk, which I mean was a huge transition from having none to having some. So I was so thankful that I did have some. And I mean, I was doing everything, guys. So when I'm telling you guys this, that I didn't know what was going on, I was doing lactation cookies, I was doing tons of water, I was doing everything that you're supposed to do. I was trying to get enough sleep. You know, when you first have your baby, you're not really gonna have enough sleep in that time. But I was doing all kinds of things. My mom was trying to help me through it, and just trying to figure out different things and different herbs and different like supplements and things like that. So went to my lactation consultant, and she took Willow and she went to go look at Willow's mouth. She did her weight just to kind of assess her, and within 2 minutes she weighed her, saw how much she weighed. She opened her mouth, looked in her mouth, and she goes, "I know exactly what the problem is." And I was like, oh my gosh. She goes, Willow has a lip and tongue tie. And if you don't know what that is, you can look it up. It is where the skin from the top lip, or I mean, I don't even know if you can have it from the bottom. I'm pretty sure that you can, but it is where from the top of the lip and to the inside of your gum is connected too tight, and they can't open their lip like all the way when they're supposed to be nursing. And then a tongue tie is the same thing. It's underneath your tongue. That little flap of skin under there might be too tight where the baby can't fully press the tongue to the top of their mouth, which means that when they're trying to latch onto your nipple, they have a really bad latch. So Willow's latch was very shallow, and she wasn't able to press her tongue up to the top of her mouth, and her lip wasn't allowed to open all of the way. So she was basically sucking just on my nipple and not getting the correct pull of milk to come out. So finding this out, we discovered the reason why I didn't have a good milk supply, and that was because, first of all, she wasn't able to latch properly, and she wasn't able to tell my milk what to do, because milk is supply and demand. So your baby is basically going to tell your breast supply how much it needs to produce. That's how it's supposed to happen. Now, take into consideration, when you have a C-section, your hormones are going crazy, and that doesn't allow the natural way for your body to tell, you know, yourself and your brain that you need to make milk. So that's like a problem number one with C-sections, because they don't come out vaginally. Problem number two for me was that she had a lip and tongue tie. So what we decided from our lactation consultant, she said you can go get these lasered. Now what they do is they go in and they like cut the tongue and lip tie with a laser. Everyone, this is your own choice if you decide to get this done. It's a very personal choice, and if you have a baby that has a tongue and lip tie, then you guys know what I'm talking about. breastfeeding is very, 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 very difficult. Like, there can be a lot of complications. You can get into a very dark place, and this is where I was. I was in a very dark place, which is really hard because I'm naturally a very positive person, and it's just not me to be in such a, I mean, I was questioning whether I should be a mom or not. I was crying all the time. It was really hard for me because I just wanted to be able to provide for my baby, and I wasn't able to. I didn't have enough milk. I didn't know what was going on with Willow. I didn't know why she was, you know, crying a lot, why she needed to eat for so long, all these things, and I just felt like I wasn't cut out to be a mom. So we made the decision to get her tongue and lip tie revised, because when they grow up they can have speech impediment problems and have to do speech therapy. They could end up with a gap tooth in the middle, which, I mean, I think would be cute, but, you know, I wouldn't know what she would think and if she would not like that, because I'm sure that if I was a kid I probably wouldn't like having a gap tooth, just because you can get made fun of for that stuff, even though it's a beautiful, unique thing. Moving on, so we went and got that revised. You go to a dentist and get that done, and he lasered it. It took maybe 5 minutes. The procedure was really fast. She cried only because of having to keep her mouth open, because they numb it and everything, so that would be a whole nother video talking about that. Anyways, so we got that done, and the healing process was up to a week, and that was a very interesting thing because I learned a lot from that. So what was happening is, basically, she wasn't able to tell my milk to come in. So during that time we decided to go to bottles because I was having to pump to make my milk come in. I was having to pump every 2 hours to try to make my milk to come in. Now I was trying, I did Blessed Thistle herbal supplement, I was doing brewer's yeast, I was doing oh my gosh, I can't even remember all the stuff that I was doing. Tons of water, like I said, good proteins, trying to make my diet and my body make more milk, and it just wasn't happening. I was only making about an ounce collectively during each pump, and if I was getting an ounce at all, sometimes I would even be doing just a half an ounce, which was not enough at all. So after we went through all of that, I went to it was like a breastfeeding class, and it was here in my like area, and I decided to go in. There's a lactation consultant that does it, and she goes around and just helps women that are having difficulties with breastfeeding. So I went there, took her class, kind of revised the way that I was breastfeeding and that I was having Willow latched to me, and she helped to correct some things. So I decided that I was gonna take the bottle away from Willow and only do breastfeeding. So I did that for a week. She screamed the entire time. She would not latch for the longest. When she finally would latch, she would just fall asleep because she would get so just so fed up because she was trying to eat, and she was so hungry, and I wasn't making enough. I was trying to do the nipple shield. That was really difficult, trying to do a nipple shield, and I was doing a nipple shield and supplementing at the same time. So if you guys have any idea what that is, a nipple shield is something that you, it's this like soft plastic that you put over your nipple to try to get the baby to latch. A lot of moms that have latch problems with their babies go about this route and are successfully able to breastfeed. I was unfortunately not able to. We did this for a week, and Willow lost 2 pounds. Which was very devastating to me because all I've wanted to do is breastfeed. Guys, when I found out about formula and breastfeeding, all of this stuff, I was just 100%, before I had Willow, 100% breastfeed. I didn't want to use formula. I felt like that was just for moms who, and I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys, I felt like that was for moms who either wanted the easy way out or just couldn't breastfeed. Like, those were the two things that I had in my head. I've never had a kid before, so I honestly had no clue other than those 2 reasons why moms would use formula. And it was so devastating to me to find out that I needed to supplement my baby and that I had to use formula, because I just viewed it as something that was kind of the easy way out. Now, I'm being 100% like transparent with you guys about that because that's just what I thought, and I never knew the hardship of actually having to nurse, actually having to breastfeed, the commitment, and just, it's a very difficult thing, and it is very amazing that your body is able to do that. And it was hard for me to get past the fact that my body was just not responding and not allowing me to do it no matter, you know, what I was doing, and that my baby was having such hard complications. So after she refused to kind of basically breastfeed for that week that I tried it, and she lost 2 pounds, I just couldn't handle it anymore, and I decided that I was just going to pump. So I was pumping around the clock again every 2 to 3 hours, and I was making about, I would say about 70% breast milk, and then the rest I would supplement with formula. And I was hoping that I was able to bring up my supply enough. So after trying all of the herbal supplements, all of the things that I could possibly imagine to take, I decided that I was going to go a prescription route. So my lactation consultant got me a prescription to bring in my milk, and that has definitely helped. It's upped my supply about half of what I was making. I got another half, so basically I was making 4 ounces every time that I pumped, and that was awesome. Fast forward, going back to work. Going back to work was a difficult thing because this is only my 3rd week going back to work, and I'm not able to pump every couple of hours. So I decided to go down to 5 times a day. That was really hard. I just couldn't keep up with it at work. I went down to 4, and now I'm down to 3. I am hit with the reality that as much as I wanted to breastfeed, it just wasn't in the cards for me. Kind of, you know, fate kind of played out, and I had a lot of stuff working up against me. And I mean, I'm giving you guys a very basic story. If you guys were here with me from day to day with my struggle and just desperately wanting to just be able to breastfeed and then, you know, feed my baby just breast milk, I mean, I would have done anything. I would have jumped through any hoop to try to get my supply up to where I would just be giving her milk, even if it was in bottles, and trying to get her to latch, and just all the blood, sweat, and tears, and my nipples being raw and sore, and, you know, crying with her because I just wanted to be able to breastfeed her. And right now, you know, it's still, I didn't even think that I was going to get emotional over this. Right now, it's honestly, it's like still hard for me to sit there and, you know, I go to church and I be in a room with moms and they're able to breastfeed, and it's so hard when you're not able to do that, and you feel like such a failure, and that you're just not giving your kid the best because you always hear breast is best. And I totally believe that breast milk is the best thing that you can give your kid, but in the end you have to make sure that your baby is gaining weight and that your baby is healthy and happy. And I was sitting there watching my baby just cry and her not gain enough weight, and it was scaring me. And all of these things, and I would go into a room and all these moms would be feeding their kids, and I can't do that. And it was so hard for me to watch. And I mean, I can look at a mom that's breastfeeding and it just makes me feel so jealous that I can't do that for her. And I want to be able to do that for her because I know all of the benefits that breast milk gives babies. And I wish it could have been different, honestly. I wish that I would have looked into C-sections. I wish that I could have brought my milk supply up, because I would have loved to have done that, but it didn't work out for me. And I learned that a lot of other moms have problems with this too, and that a lot of moms struggle, and it can be something that brings you to a very dark place. And I needed to be able to look at my baby and see joy, and to know that I'm being a good mom, and to know that I'm doing everything that I can, which was true, but I wasn't seeing that. So for me, I made the personal decision to be pumping. And now that I am at work, my personal decision now is that I'm going to have a goal of 4 months to be pumping and giving her my breast milk with supplementing, and then we're going to be going to formula, because I've had the biggest struggle with this. And I know that other moms, if you're a mom, I'm sure that you can relate. If you've had any difficulty, it can put you in a really scary place where you're looking at full-blown postpartum depression. And you know, it just, my happiness and my baby's happiness and health wasn't worth it to me. And I know that I am doing my absolute best and I am trying my absolute hardest. And giving formula to my baby does not mean that I'm a failure. If you're a mom that has to give formula to your baby, first of all, it could be a personal choice that in the beginning you just decided to do formula. Or in the beginning you had struggles and you had to supplement. I want other moms to know that, number one, you're not a failure if you have to use formula, if you have to supplement, if you've had problems, because I have learned that if you are concerned and you are trying to make your baby healthy, that is all that matters. Breast milk is the most incredible thing with the antibodies and, you know, the antiviruses and all of the just benefits that it gives your kid. And I totally believe that breast milk is absolutely amazing. Do not get me wrong. If you can breastfeed, go for it, girl, because it is an incredible experience, first of all, to have your baby on you. And I never knew that I would have just wanted it so bad. But things happen, crap happens, and it goes down. And the number one thing that is important is your baby being healthy and you having sanity and feeling like you are being the best mom ever for your kid. And if you are questioning yourself all the time and putting yourself down because you can't provide milk for your baby, you need to just let that go. Because I know as a mom, I was trying my hardest. I would take anything. I would do anything. I would wake up multiple times at night. I would just strive, and it wasn't happening. And I just had to kind of accept the fact that my milk is what it is, and it is what it is, and I can't change it no matter how many different routes that I've tried to go, no matter how long I've tried to nurse her, no matter how many times I've tried to put her on my boob. And I've just kind of come to accept it and kind of go with what's been dealt to me. And number one thing is I have a healthy, amazing, beautiful baby. I made my whole entire breastfeeding journey change. My baby's lip and tongue tie made my entire breastfeeding journey change. My low supply has changed it, and this is the reason why I can't breastfeed. Now, I totally believe that pumping is still breastfeeding. You're not putting your baby to your breast, but you're feeding your baby with your breast. So I consider what I've been doing as breastfeeding. And, you know, when I go to supplementing with formula, I'm just going to be doing the best formula that I can get for her. And knowing that in the beginning she got colostrum, which was so important, and she got breast milk however little or however much that it's been till about 4 months, and I'm hoping that I can keep it up till 4 months. That is my absolute goal. And just knowing that I'm not a horrible mom. Like, I love my kid and I've been trying to do everything for my kid, and I've been bending over backwards. So if you've been going through any struggles or anything like that, like, I know some of you guys have been talking to me and reaching out to me on Instagram and just kind of telling me your guys' struggles and encouraging me and trying to give advice. And, you know, girl, you can only do so much before you have to kind of just accept what's in front of you. And I am not one to give up. I am not one to give in. I am that person that's like, I'm going to do it. And I tried that with this, and it just, you know, I'm learning through all of this that God is teaching me that I am not in control of everything. Even though I wish that I was, I am not, especially through my pregnancy with Willow. You know, everything kind of happened that I didn't really want to happen. I didn't want to get all the pain meds that I had to take. I didn't want to get a C-section. I didn't want to have to use formula. But you know what? That's what's happened. It doesn't make me any less of a mom. It doesn't make me any less of a good parent. And it doesn't make you that either. It's just stuff happens and it's out of our control. And, you know, I think the most important thing is that if you're struggling with your decision and, you know, you are concerned about what's happening, you're a good parent. You're, you know, considered for your child's well-being, and you're trying to be the best parent ever, and that's all that, you know, as a mom I could ask for. So I know this was probably a very long video, but I just kind of wanted to go in and have real talk with you guys. And if I was here, I would love, you know, if you guys are here, I would love to have this full conversation, question and answering. And if you guys feel like you guys want to ask more questions about any part of this journey, and if you want me to do take 2, please list your questions down below. I don't know if you guys will or not, but this is fighting the good fight. Being a parent is hard, and it starts at the very beginning, and breastfeeding is difficult. I never knew how difficult it was, and you know, people don't talk about it, and I just want you guys to know that there are so many other complications that come up with it. You know, I have gotten clogged ducts all the time. That's another thing. I have clogged ducts all the time. I have to massage my boobs for my milk to come out. It is such a struggle, and I've been doing it all for this little thing right here because she is my absolute world. And God has definitely given me a characteristic that I just keep going and going and going until I'm just, there's no other option. So I want to encourage you guys that if you guys are having a struggle with breastfeeding, it is a journey, and there are different things that come up, and you just have to kind of accept them. So I want to encourage you that you are an awesome mom. If you are going through the breastfeeding journey right now, if you are pregnant, then just know, I would read up on some different things to just kind of get an idea of what can happen, and know that if you are struggling, go see a lactation consultant, because they're amazing. They can really help you out and just empower you and make you feel better for, you know, what you're doing, and kind of take care of, you know, shallow latches or bad latches, or if there's something going on with your baby and you're just not thinking it's right. That's your mother instincts kicking in. You need to go check it out with either your pediatrician or your lactation consultant, and just kind of get an idea of how to do this, because those people know what they're talking about. They're incredible. And mine, you know, changed my mind and helped me get out of a very dark place where I was, you know, ready to give up as a parent, because I didn't think that I was cut out for it, and that's absolutely not true. So I hope that through me telling kind of this story, it helps you with wherever you're at, because I assume that if you're watching this video, you're either pregnant or dealing with something with breastfeeding, or just curious in general. So I just want to say to all you mamas out there, you guys are incredible human beings. Being a mom is not easy, and I just applaud you for what you have done, are doing, plan to do. It is a tough thing, and I'm very thankful that I get to share this type of stuff on such a large platform with so many people. And I thank you guys for coming alongside me, and not only just being interested in my journey, but being there with me through this. So I'm going to go probably eat some dinner and put this little one down for a quick nap before we go to bed, because it is evening time here. So I'm gonna enjoy some family time, and I will see you guys in another video. Don't forget to go check out our other channel, the Scaletti family, and I have it linked down in the description box below. And she would say goodnight to you guys, but she is currently sleeping. So good night. Willow says goodbye. She is nice and full and happy. All right, bye guys.